Hello, and welcome back to the Teen Titans retrospective thing. Going through every episode of the original Teen Titans series, week by week, episode by episode. Check out the first episode if you missed it. That's it. Let's get into... Season 1, Episode 2, Sisters. This one was written by Amy Wolfram and directed by Alex Soto. This is a Starfire episode, and it's a good one. It's solid. The episode opens with Starfire and Robin at some kind of carnival, and there's fireworks going on. They're eating cotton candy. There's a cute moment where Starfire learns what cotton candy is for the first time.
It vanished!
Yeah, it'll do that.
The writing in this episode immediately feels much stronger than the first episode, especially when it comes to characterization. Tons of great moments of the characters interacting and bouncing off each other in this episode, and especially good character development for Starfire. And I like her characterization a lot in this series. Basically, the idea behind her character is she's sort of like a foreign exchange student, where she comes from another planet, and so she doesn't really understand Earth culture, and we get a lot of great comedy moments about her trying to understand and fit in with her friends on Earth. There's a lot of really fun stuff with her dialogue and language. She has a really tough time understanding like metaphors and like figures of speech and expressions and stuff like that. Like there's a moment later in this episode where they're at this party and someone asks her, "Hey, do you dig it?" And she's like, "I didn't know we were supposed to bring shovels." And it's just like really cute and funny, and I love it a lot. She's adorable, and I love her, and I think she's great. Voiced wonderfully by Hynden Walch. I think that's how you pronounce her name. I'm not sure. She doesn't appear in any of the behind-the-scenes interviews for some reason. I'm not entirely sure that she really even exists. But she voices Starfire here, and she does a wonderful job. Perfect, like, inflections. It's like so many little fun moments where she, like, doesn't quite get the grammar of English perfect. It's really great stuff. So yeah, the main point of this episode is to kind of develop Starfire, and we really get a sense of who she is and what she's all about. She gets a lot of moments with Robin, which is one of the big ships of this series. That is kind of a will they won't they throughout the series. Obviously, this is building off of the Starfire-Nightwing relationship from the new Teen Titans run. Yeah, we get a lot of moments of these two interacting in this episode. I also really like Starfire's design in this series. In the comics, she's like kind of like hyper over-sexualized, which for the 80s, that was kind of just the thing to do. In this show, I think they find a good balance of still making her feel attractive and recognizably Starfire, while not over-sexualizing her and toning down some of the like more ridiculous outfits that she has in the comics. Because, you know, she's a teenager in this show, and it would be kind of weird if she was over-sexualized.
And he's pretty young, we try not to sexualize her.
Although, weirdly, Teen Titans Go has no problem over-sexualizing Raven, even though that show is targeted at very young kids, but that's a topic for another day. And again, we're kind of moving away from like the more Bruce Timm style designs of female characters that are like over-exaggerated, like super hot all the time and like tiny, which I think is partly just Bruce Timm likes to draw hot girls. I get it, but for this show the design totally works, and it gives her this like real innocent quality that makes her really, really endearing. So at the carnival thing, Starfire gets attacked by this robot that's very alien looking, maybe from space. That's our opening sequence. The Titans go into action and fight this thing, rescuing Starfire, leaving us with a mystery of where this thing came from and why is it attacking Starfire. But we don't have time for that because coincidentally Starfire's older sister, Blackfire, is visiting. Her name is Blackfire because she's like an evil Starfire. It's really subtle. So she like crashes at the Titans Tower while they're all hanging out, and Starfire introduces her to the Titans, and immediately all the Titans are enamored by Blackfire. They think she's super cool. She laughs at Beast Boy's jokes. She's super strong and good at fighting, which both Robin and Cyborg think is cool. And she even manages to have similar interests to Raven, like chakras and meditation and like gothic poetry. Blackfire is also voiced by Hynden Walsh. So she's doing double duties in this episode, and she does a phenomenal job of making these two characters like feel distinct. I never would have put it together as a kid that it's the same voice actress. Like, they sound similar because it's the same actress doing it, but they sound similar in a way that like sisters sound similar because they look similar and they're have this similar DNA. But she gives Blackfire this like sort of cocky arrogance of like, oh yeah, I've been around, I know all the cool things, and it's like really, really well done.
Learned that move from a Venzo master on Tyrus 3.
So basically the main conflict of this episode is that Blackfire shows up and immediately all the Titans think she's super cool and want to hang out with her, which makes Starfire very jealous. She already has a hard time fitting in on this alien planet that like things don't make sense to her, and so when her older sister, who's like a more confident, more experienced version of her shows up, she starts to question like whether or not she even has a place here at all. And it's just this like really compelling character episode about this relationship between these two sisters, and Starfire feeling like very jealous of Blackfire like hanging out with Robin, the guy that she maybe kind of likes. It just like perfectly captures this like very teenager feeling of a new person entering a group of friends and everyone but you thinking that person is awesome. And as the episode goes on, we realize that Blackfire is intentionally trying to cut Starfire out of her own friend group. The plot is like very basic in this episode. It's really just a lot of scenes of all these characters hanging out and interacting, and it's really fun and well executed. All the characters have really great moments. We even get like a little bit of a hint of Beast Boy and Raven have a moment that starts to build that relationship a little bit. Beast Boy and Raven is one of the other major shifts in this show, which like as a kid I totally did not pick up on at all, but there's definitely something there. And I think the main thing, at least at this stage in the show, is that Beast Boy is like the goofy comedic one. And so his whole thing is he wants to make everyone laugh. Like that's how he shows affection and like tries to get people to like him by making jokes and stuff. And Raven just like doesn't care about his comedy pretty much at all.
See? She thinks I'm funny.
Statistically, I suppose someone has to.
So I think that's like why Beast Boy like shows an interest in Raven initially, is that like he really wants to make her laugh, and because she's the only one of the group that like doesn't find him funny. But there's much more of that relationship later on. This episode's about Starfire. Like you really empathize with Starfire here because you just want her to be happy and to be able to fit in with her friends and stuff. Some good moments with Robin too, because while Starfire perceives that Blackfire is like the more interesting of the two and that her friends would rather spend time with Blackfire than with her, Robin multiple times goes out of his way to make sure that like Starfire is okay and letting her know that he wants to spend time with her and stuff. It's really sweet. So the rest of the plot, Blackfire gives Starfire this green gem from the moons of whatever as a gift. Turns out she stole it, and these like space cops are chasing after her. That's why that robot thing attacked Starfire at the beginning of the episode, is that they thought she was Blackfire. There's a fight that happens between the Titans and some of these tentacle robot things, and then eventually the Titans realize like, oh shit, that's why Blackfire is here, is to try to throw her sister under the bus and get her to be arrested by these space cops instead of her. Once they make that realization, Starfire and Blackfire have a bit of a fight, and Blackfire ends up getting taken away, swearing revenge. And she does come back later on in the show. Weirdly, she only has one other major appearance, which is interesting. Starfire is also the only of the Titans to never get a full season arc, which is interesting. The first season is focused on Robin, which we'll get into more later on when we get into more of the Slade focused episodes. But Starfire never ended up getting a whole season arc, so we only have like a few Starfire character development episodes, and this is one of them. And Blackfire, of course, comes back later on, but only the one time. She's mentioned few times in other episodes. But it's strange because she only has a couple appearances in the whole show, but she makes a really big impression in those episodes, especially this one, and is probably one of the most remembered Teen Titans villains of the whole series. And I think it just comes down to Hynden Walsh's performance and just the writing. Like, you love to hate her. She's like a perfect villain of someone who is like really over cocky and really like trying to make themselves look really cool and awesome and stuff. But like deep down, you know, it's completely petty and she's just trying to like make Starfire's life worse, which just like you want to punch her in the face. She's a really great villain, really memorable. I'm happy with all the Blackfire stuff that we got, but I kind of wish we got a little bit more. And who knows, maybe we would have gotten more if we ever gotten more seasons of the show. Yeah, just a really great episode overall. Wonderful performance by Hynden Walsh doing two major characters. Great characterization, really great character development. I forgot to mention, but yeah, Robin and Starfire have a little heart-to-heart at the end. Because Starfire is like, you know what, they clearly don't need me or don't want me around. I'm just going to leave. So we get a nice little scene at the end of the episode to kind of bookend it of Robin and Starfire, and Robin being like, "No, we like hanging out with you. Like you don't need to be as cool as Blackfire. Like I prefer you." And it's a really nice moment. Just good characterization and character development overall. It's a solid episode. I definitely recommend checking it out. It's not like super important to the overall like plot of the series necessarily, but it's really good character development for Starfire, and Blackfire does come back later on, so I definitely recommend watching this one. A couple other things. Blackfire in one moment shoots lasers out of her eyes, which is cool because Blackfire's a little bit older than Starfire, and so she's a little bit more practiced and experienced with her powers and stuff like that. This is the first time we see a Tamaran use eye lasers, which is a power that Starfire gets later on in the series. So it's a good little world building and like power level scaling here. We see Blackfire, a slightly more experienced character with the same abilities as Starfire, and so we see a little bit of like where Starfire's power levels will go later on. It's very Danny Phantom and Vlad. We even have like Starfire shoots green energy just like Danny shoots green energy, and Vlad, the evil Danny, shoots purple energy, and Blackfire, the evil Starfire, shoots purple energy. And that's how you know that they're bad. But I like it. I think it works well and does a good job of like hinting at where the power levels of Starfire will go in the future. Good stuff all around. Yeah, that's this one. It's pretty simple, but like very well executed and a really good job of developing Starfire as a character. And there is some stuff that comes back later on. And yeah, it's mostly just characters hanging out, but hey, these characters are super fun and it's cool to just see them interact. So yeah, good episode. That's this one. That about wraps things up for this one. So make sure to subscribe and hit the bell to get notifications for when I upload new videos. We're going through every Teen Titans episode, so we'll see you again next week. And I got some other stuff coming eventually. So stay tuned and like and comment and all those things. We'll see you next week.